It is so easy to get caught up in the endless barrage of negativity that the internet can be, including the continuous effects of AI on our community, but I think it's really important to continue to find time in the days and weeks and months and the rest of your life to make art for the sake of it. Make art because you love it, because you're passionate about it, because it eats you up inside when you don't make art, and you can't think of a single thing that you would rather spend the rest of your life doing. So let's talk about finding joy in your creative practice, finding motivation and inspiration, and rediscovering your creativity if you've lost it. I want to give a big thank you to Squarespace for continuing to support the channel and sponsoring this video. This is going to be a very chatty, rambly voiceover, by the way, so I would get a cup of tea, get your art materials out, get settled, and let's just create together and catch up. So first things first, let's talk about what I'm working on. This particular piece is a master study of a pre-Raphaelite artist, Asher B. Durand. This painting is called Study of a Wood Interior. It was made around 1855 or so, according to this random book that I own called Painting Descent, Art Ethics in the American Pre-Raphaelite. It's by Sophie Linford. You can find this painting at the Addison Gallery of American Art in Andover, Massachusetts. So that's a thing that you could do. I haven't been there personally, but maybe it's there. I really love the composition of this painting, the mossy rocks and all this detail in this scraggly tree that's kind of managed to find life in this weird situation in this old growth looking forest. It's a very warm painting. There is a lot of contrast, a lot of texture, especially in the rocky areas, and we don't see a ton of sky here. It's almost like monochromatic in how much green there is. There's just a little bit of blue, kind of a grayish, cool gray even, not even really a blue, peeping through some tops of the trees in the very, very back, but it's a really interesting scene. You've got some backlit kind of lighting going on in terms of value structure here, a lot of complexity, a lot of texture, but if we were to break this painting down into the very basics, we have that tree trunk, some, a handful of rocks here, and then the background. And really, honestly, it's just two simple masses. We have this very kind of darker foreground and the lighter background. So my approach with this painting is to do my traditional 9-dot thing where I find the midpoint of the panel and then I make, the little dot grid that I like to do. And then I dive into getting the drawing right, really spending some time focusing on, okay, what are these big shapes? Where are they on this surface? And how can I get this right from the very beginning? I find that taking my time with the drawing in the first phase of the painting is time well spent. If you get your shapes right in the drawing, then you have to spend less time correcting them when you get into full color in the painting. It's just, I don't know, it's worth doing. I am by no means an expert drafts person, but with this little grid that I have, if I put the same thing in Photoshop on top of my reference, it makes everything so much easier. You instantly have a little reference point that you can compare angles and stuff to, so it's super helpful. And yeah, after we get the drawing kind of mostly settled down here, I jump right into these greens, trying to figure that out. There's a lot of green in this painting, especially in the foreground, so I'm trying to kind of block in the moss and where it arcs and undulates and crawls up the tree trunk and these rocks and the foreground and the very, very kind of forest floor area down here. And there's a lot of variation in green in this painting. So a big part of my initial approach here is just trying to kind of color tile and put the right color in the right place from the very beginning, rather than building up a bunch of kind of indirect layers, like indirect painting. We're not doing like a black and white grisaille approach and then glazing with color. We're going like full bodied paint color from the very beginning, just trying to get that stuff right. And a huge reason why I'm doing this painting, even to begin with, is because I want to get more comfortable painting more complex scenes. The original version of this painting, this master study, there's a lot going on here. And as an artist, if this was a photo reference, I would find this so ridiculously intimidating. All of these little like rocky textures and little branches and like twiggy broken tree trunk things happening on the forest floor and like all the leaves. I would find that just insane. I wouldn't even know where to begin. But because all of the hard work has been done for me in the original painting, all of the simplification, all of the composition work, all of like the value structure work has been done for us. We can just dive right in and get some really good practice in. And hopefully, now that I've done this painting, now that I've done this study, I can look at photo reference that I've taken with some new eyes and some increased confidence and troubleshoot the problems in those photos and in those future paintings with a little more ease, a little more accuracy. I have a very hot and steamy ongoing love affair with trees and rocks right now as a subject matter in my work. I just love it. I find so much enjoyment painting random trees, random rocks. I can't really explain it. I think it's just because, like, they are fundamentally very simple shapes. Like, yeah, just a cylinder, just a cube with some, some bits carved off. And then once you understand that simple shape, you can really easily add a lot of texture to it. You understand where your highlights are, where your shadows are. It's just very straightforward. I think that's maybe some of it, but I don't know. I've been loving rocks a lot, especially. So let's talk a little bit more about finding joy in art, because I could talk about this painting all day long, and probably I will if you let me, but I think finding joy in art is really important. And yes, it is somewhat about what paintings you choose, of course, and what projects you work on, but other factors in your life might be affecting your creative practice. And the big one, of course, is social media and your consumption habits, right? Your doom scrolling habits. If you are spending 2, 3, 4 hours in bed a day, lying on your phone, scrolling on TikTok or on Instagram or whatever platform is your poison, probably that's not a thing that you really want to be doing. That's not a thing that you really endorse. It's kind of a shallow dopamine fix form of entertainment, and it's not really that fulfilling. I would encourage you to be more mindful of that, right? To eliminate screen time where you can, and to consider picking up some art books, right? Putting on some music and flipping through some art books, finding some inspiration, and brainstorming your next project. It could be a master study, like what I'm working on right now, or you could find some cool reference books, like some cool photography books, for example, and be like, yeah, I love that. That's gonna inspire my next project. I'm gonna do, a pose similar to this with my original character. Or, man, you know what? I'm gonna watch this Wes Anderson movie and I'm gonna consider making some panels of my comic inspired by the shots that he puts in his films. Like stuff like this. Like, I think the internet can be a really amazing place. It can be a place of endless inspiration and creative fulfillment and like really kind of fill your cup creatively if you consume it in the right way. But I think a lot of people, artists especially, fall into this trap, I guess, of kind of mindlessly consuming things and not realizing they are trading off time with their creative practice, right? Maybe they're not like fully endorsing their current actions. Yeah. Art books may or may not be the answer. Touching grass could also be the answer, just spending more time outside, doing whatever fills your creative cup, be that going to museums or going on hikes or flipping through art books or taking some cool photos, making bread, attending your garden, petting your cat, whatever. The reason that I talk about social media in particular when it comes to finding joy in art is because with the spread of AI generated images in particular, I see a lot of artists being very discouraged from the entire idea of making art or even pursuing it as a career. And on some level, like, I get that, and I get that it's scary and that it is taking people's jobs away. And I wish that these models didn't scrape art from all over the internet without attribution, accreditation, consent, permission, compensation. I hope that the legal cases against AI image generators have the outcome that is best for artists, but I'm not particularly sympathetic myself to the idea of, oh, making art isn't worth it anymore. Because I don't know. No, it's not. No, it's not. Literally, shut up. That's not true. You should make art because it brings you joy, because you love it, because you're passionate about it. I don't know, it's so fucking bonkers to me, this idea that you would let some random external fact about the world just affect your relationship to this really important part of what makes you who you are and what makes you a human person. I don't like that. I don't know. I guess I don't have really complex thoughts here. My opinion's not very complex. I made a video a couple years ago about AI art that you can go watch if you want more of my thoughts there. But I don't know. I see, especially with like the whole Ergo Josh situation, which I'm not really going to comment on, just in case you were curious. I don't want to become a drama channel. That's not what I'm interested in. I see a lot of really high emotions in our community, right? There's a lot of just strong feelings. And I can't help but think, man, I get it. I get that we're upset. But also, is this solving any problems? Or are we just screaming into the void here when we could be making stuff, when we could be talking about, okay, yeah, AI is scary. How do we as artists find stability in this uncertain future? How can we cultivate our own brand? How can we set ourselves apart when the market becomes increasingly saturated? How can we create identities and brands that emphasize our humanity and the effort that we're putting in and the stories that we're telling and just the beautiful tapestry that makes us who we are? Yeah. That's my rant. Sorry. Before we get too in the weeds here, I do want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video because they have genuinely helped me so much when it comes to creating my own brand as an artist and going full-time in the first place with my website that I host on Squarespace and the online shop where I sell all sorts of things. And I think Squarespace genuinely is an incredible resource for artists at any skill level at any point in their career because it is so helpful. What if I told you that Squarespace could be your online store, your portfolio website, and your email marketing, course hosting, membership, scheduling, and invoicing platform? Because Squarespace can not only do all of that, but it can do it well, like really well. Imagine a world where you're not paying $1 million a month for a bunch of subscriptions on 1 million platforms, but just one affordable price for all of those features, and it was all hosted on your own website. On top of that, Squarespace's Fluid Engine system makes designing a perfect website tailored to your brand extremely easy. So, not only is your website the hub for everything that you're doing online, but it's perfectly aligned with your brand and your aesthetic as a creative. I have been using Squarespace for years. Whenever I need a sales page for a mentorship program or a live event, I use Squarespace. It is so easy to use. I love the flexibility of their drag and drop editor, and you also have the ability to further customize your site with code if you need to. If you want to give Squarespace a try, you can support the channel by going to squarespace.com/Kelsey Rodriguez and using my code Kelsey Rodriguez for 20% off your first order of a website or domain. And now, back to the video. Okay, so before you let the worries of AI art ruin your life and your creative practice and discourage you from even the idea of making art in the first place, I want you to maybe spend some time journaling about what drew you to this hobby. What's like your reason why you like to make art? What, if you look back at the time where you were maybe a little kid, you're finger painting, you've got crayons everywhere, you just experience this like raw joy of creation, right? You're getting cardboard pieces and magazine cutouts and you're finger painting and you're putting nail polish on your work and like whatever. Why do you enjoy making art? Because it's probably not the monetary gain that you can get from it, right? It's probably not the recognition or like the fame possibility. I realize that like I have some amount of recognition and some level of wealth as an artist because of this platform that I have, but I'm not like rich by any means. I live a very middle class lifestyle in the Bay Area, which is a very high cost of living place. I have like 10 housemates. And I don't know, I don't think that art is a get-rich-quick scheme, right? That's extremely true. It took me years to make this my full-time job. But when I think about the reason that I make art because I can't imagine myself spending my life doing anything else. Like, I've built this business that enables me to spend hours a week painting. And I love it. Genuinely, I love it so much. It brings me so much joy and comfort. And when I don't make art for too long, I feel like the pieces that like make me up creatively, like my ideas, my thoughts, my feelings, they get too big for my flesh prison meat suit. Like it's too small to hold me in. I have to let some things out, and that comes out in painting. If I don't spend enough time agonizing over how to paint trees or how to paint grass is so complicated. People do not talk about how complicated grass is. How do you even go about just figuring that out? The individual strands of grass. How do you simplify that? That's so complicated. But if I don't spend enough time agonizing over those questions, diving into my special interests, like mastering the techniques of oil painting, I get like itchy and grumpy and sad. It's not like I do this because it's like fun all the time. A lot of the time I'm making art and I'm just problem solving constantly, which I'm a sick freak and I do enjoy. But it's more like I make art because it's a compulsion, because it's a thing that I have to do, because it's a thing that I feel very strongly about and really passionate about, and it's not like cheap entertainment or dopamine. It's very much like I am consistently working at this skill kind of dopamine, which is a little bit different or something, I feel like, but I don't know, it's not like cheap entertainment. If I didn't have a following and I wasn't making any money, I would still make art. That's obvious to me. I don't know. I love diving into my niche special interests when it comes to art history and the rabbit holes that I can go down. And I really want to encourage you to do that, right? To consider your why, to go down the rabbit holes of what makes you happy and excited about creating. For me, right now, in a big way, is Pre-Raphaelite art. That is like the kind of category or the art movement that we are touching on today in this master study with this Asher B. Durand forest painting that I'm having a lot of fun with. But I have really been enjoying learning more about Pre-Raphaelite art and just the techniques of this movement and the figures at play that made all of this cool art. Like, so a little bit of a history lesson really quick. Pre-Raphaelite artists were very spicy. They were very dramatic. They were like five guys that really hated everything else that people were making in the art world. They were like Raphael, the very famous artist, had it wrong. He ruined art. Let's go back to the time before that. And they would make fun of this one, God, I forget. He was like the head of the English Royal Academy of Art at the time. It was like Sir Joshua Andrews or whatever, and they would call him Sir Sloshua because they thought that all of the art that he enjoyed and was making was slosh. It was garbage. And it was like such like a Gen Z, like stupid nickname. Yeah, let's call this guy Sir Sloshua. But I just really liked that. I thought that was really funny. It's this kind of stuff that like brings me a lot of joy in art. And then I recommend that you let yourself go down, right? If you are really interested in like horse anatomy and you really want to do like equine painting, do that. Yeah, have fun. Learn about how broken horses are as animals. Or if you're like really into like marine painting and painting like sea creatures and stuff, learn about like all of the weird stuff in the ocean and the cool facts about that and how you can, I don't know, render that however you want to. I love tonalism, Pre-Raphaelite art, Impressionism, loose brushwork, all the primitive painting. And I think about how I want to spend the rest of my life, right, as an artist. And I'm like, yes, I would die happy if I could spend hours a week doing master copies like this and going on cool hikes and taking cool pictures and just, even if I never make like really incredible paintings or something, I think I'll just have fun doing this, like just practicing, just getting better, just putting the hours in. That's what I want for you guys. I want for you guys to stop dwelling so much on like the commercial viability of your work, whether or not you can make this a career. I've managed to make it work for me. I talk a lot about that. I think that's possible for you. But to a certain extent, I think putting pressure on your work for it to be commercially viable can sometimes kill your creativity. And that's a big reason why I have built a business for myself that doesn't really rely on sales of originals or even prints necessarily. I take on sponsors like Squarespace. I sell my own digital products. I host like business workshops because I have clients that I've helped take their art full time, and I'm really proud of that, and I'm really proud of them. And I think this is possible to do as a job if you want to, and you're willing to put in the work. But what I always encourage people not to do is to put a ton of pressure on their work right away, especially when they haven't figured out a really identifiable style yet or have a really concrete body of work. I'm still working on that. I'm still working on my style and my own body of work. That's a huge part of what this channel is, right? This channel is just the journey of me discovering myself as an artist and going down my own journey and kind of chronicling that and sharing of stories and like the lessons and the information that I've learned along the way. But oh God, what was I talking about? I feel like I've drifted so much in this voiceover, but when I think about how I want to spend the rest of my life, it's doing this, right? It's just painting, just spending the time, clocking the hours, practicing, going on these cool hikes and these adventures and just learning about these cool art movements and just trying to get a little bit better every single time. And that's what sparks joy for me. It's not about the recognition. It's not about like, oh, well, I go down to history as like a really famous artist in the art world and like super important and influential or whatever. It's like, I don't care about that, man. I just want to make videos about the stuff that I'm interested in. I just want to get cool lenses and practice filmmaking and oil painting and share some joy with the people that watch my content and hopefully help you pursue your goals. And that's what brings me joy. I feel like sometimes as artists and entrepreneurial people, we can put too much pressure on ourselves for immediate success or immediate recognition, or we're like, man, I don't want to make art if I can't get enough likes on Instagram. And that's just like fundamentally the wrong mindset. Like fundamentally it's the wrong mindset. You should make art because you love doing it, because it's what feeds you inside creatively. It is not a get rich quick scheme. It is not a thing that you should, pursue if what you really want is fame. There are, way easier ways to make money. There are way easier ways to be famous if that's really what you're after. But I don't know. I would strongly encourage you to allow yourself to go down all of these random rabbit holes, right? Just aggressively pursue that. I think a really good way actually to learn art is, in some sense, yes, to go general to specific in terms of fundamentals, right? To spend some time practicing the basics of drawing, composition, color theory, all of the basic stuff like that, anatomy especially. But once you have a little bit of a grasp on that, to then let yourself learn more about the very specific niche things that you're interested in, whatever that means for you. But that is, I think, almost kind of the key to a consistent and sustainable art practice, because it's very difficult to get really good at something if you don't enjoy it. And I think that often studying art fundamentals can be very emotionally and like psychologically taxing, because you're just not going to be good at them at first, right? But if you let yourself really give in to those niche interests, go down those rabbit holes, pursue stuff that you're just really passionate about, I think it's a lot easier to accept that you're not going to be good at them right away, because you're just having a blast. You're just having a really good time. I think that's a little bit easier. Yeah, I don't know. I recently wrapped up this kind of girl boss era for myself where I was very focused on business. And I do endorse having spent that time doing that. I have not been super consistent with my creative practice recently because I've been so focused on just building out my business and thinking about the products and stuff that I want to offer, my plan for the next couple of years, and all the things that I want to do. And I'm a one-person business, right? It's just me back here. I'm the one recording this voiceover, editing this video, getting all these shots, like negotiating brand deals, making products, answering customer service emails, planning these paintings, making this art. It's like just me. And that's a lot to handle. There's a reason that I'm not active on many other platforms, because it's just enough to handle as it is without adding anything else on top of the mix. But there are certain times in this journey where you have to kind of get your head in the game and kind of lock in on the business stuff. And I enjoy doing that, actually. I really enjoy like the design work and like the brainstorming and the thinking about, okay, like this is my target audience. This is how I can help them. Let's figure out cool product ideas that we can do. I enjoy that. I'm a little bit of a sick freak when it comes to really liking and negotiating brand deals and thinking about products and entrepreneurship and business. And I think that's a lot of what gives me leverage in this community, because there are so few people kind of translating traditional business and marketing knowledge for the artist, the creative individual. And I think that even as artists, we are kind of uniquely skilled at entrepreneurship. I think that artists are just better at business when they have the information. But anyway, I'm kind of wrapping up that girl boss period, and I'm starting to make art again, and I'm really, really excited about it. My last kind of vlog adjacent video, I was prepping a bunch of panels. This is not one of those panels. Wait, is it? I actually forget. This is a square panel, so I can't, maybe I did a square, I'm not sure. But I have a bunch of prepped panels that I have plans for, and that I'm gonna slowly work at. But a huge part of how I prep for larger paintings, especially paintings where the subject matter is new to me and I find it really intimidating, is to do master copies like this one, where I can kind of practice the fundamental skills, do a little bit of a dry run, but also kind of I figure out the color situation, the lighting, the brushwork, the composition. I think doing master studies is responsible for probably the majority of my improvement as an artist in the past couple of years. I have done a fair number of master studies on this channel. I did one a couple months ago. It was like the bluish purple nighttime mountain tree painting thing that I did. And yeah, I did a bunch. Man, like genuinely, I've done a ton. And I've shared a lot of that process here on this channel. You can scroll back and watch those videos if you want to. But when you do them, they teach you so much about brushwork, and it's a really good way to kind of immerse yourself in like the stylistic and aesthetic language of the style that you want to have. My most popular video of all time is how to find your art style, or like the secrets to finding your art style. And in that video, I talk about why I think that in a certain sense, you can kind of design your art style, right? You can kind of make very deliberate choices about the things that you pursue as an artist. And for me, the rabbit holes that I've been going on are kind of me designing that art style. But yeah, I also have been getting a ton out of the various mentorships and online courses that I've been taking this year, the most impactful of which has been the mentorship that I've been doing with Brandon Gonzalez via Sentient Art Academy. Sentient Art Academy is probably one of, if not the best online art school. They have these really cool, like 4-month-long mentorship programs that you can take with very skilled artists. I'm doing one. I know that Sketches of Shay is also doing one. I'm not sure if she's talked about it yet on her channel, but we've talked about that before. It's really invaluable to get feedback on your work on a regular basis and have the pressure of an online course and an instructor and, fellow students to help you be consistent. As I was like in the middle of that like girl boss quote unquote period a couple of months ago, I was still doing this mentorship, and I found that on some really busy weeks in particular, I probably would not have made any art if it hadn't been for this class. But the art that I did make, I'm proud of. I like it. I think it was genuinely really great as a mechanism just to hold me accountable. I really, really enjoyed it. I would strongly recommend it. And we are kind of winding down a little bit in this painting process. I haven't talked about it too much, I realize, but yeah, I don't know. We get the greens in, we start working on the rocks. You've seen it, right? You've seen it. But yeah, I have a lot of really cool projects coming out in the next couple months. So I really want to encourage you guys to sign up for my email list. I don't send emails on it very often. I'm hoping to be more regular, like maybe like once a week or something with it pretty soon, just to send updates and like the cool, like educational topics that I don't really talk about here on YouTube because of, like time. I can only post so many videos a month. But yeah, I'm doing more workshops. I'm doing more educational mentorship kinds of things where you guys can learn from me pretty soon. And I really want to encourage you to sign up for that if you're interested in any of those things, because my email list is where those things will be launched probably first. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. We're kind of wrapping up this painting now, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with me with this extremely long voiceover. I never record videos this long. This is crazy for me anyway. Bye. See ya.